dressed up for this. I'm going nowhere. We went to coffee, but I'm going nowhere. I have Alice's, shout out to Floralice, this my little fancy necklace that she makes. I'll link it in the description.
Check it out on Etsy.
It's amazing.
Background. So, depending on what Harry Styles song you like, she's going to recommend a book.
Yep. How'd we come up with this idea?
I can't remember.
The story is, we were sitting around, maybe with a few drinks involved, don't tell Steve. And then we were just like, you know the internet thing of people, you do like a presentation in front of your friends? And we were just like, yeah, let's do it. So I was like, of course, we're gonna add Harry Styles to it. Recent obsession. It hasn't even been a year and I'm still just like, dress. Like, literally last summer, I kept mixing up each of the One Direction dudes.
Nice.
I'm really bad with names, if you can't tell.
Jumping back, I couldn't remember that story because I wasn't there for that story.
Oh yeah, you weren't there.
I wasn't there for the presentations.
Were you at work or at Jordan's?
I was at Jordan's, I think.
Shout out our boyfriends. Shout out to Jordan. He's actually really nice. His accent though, my brain just like...
You'll get there.
It's already bad because if I don't understand people, like their words, my brain will just fill in the gaps.
But he mumbles, he trails off the ends of his sentence.
And I need all the info I can get. But yeah, lovely dude. Yeah, so now I made a presentation. They all hacked theirs together in an hour. And I was just like, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it properly. So I did it like a full-on, like, probably spent too much time on it considering it was like...
that looks professional, Susan.
Because I was just like, you know, I don't want to just recommend a book and not fit. So I like spent like minimum 4 hours on it. My computer's slow. We'll refresh.
Oh, she's having a tantrum.
She has a lot open.
She's being overworked, Susan. Jesus.
But so am I. Twinning. Welcome to uni. But I swear I go to college. We just don't edit all of this out. It's just a one take.
We should so do that.
Oh my god, she's presenting.
Oh my god, she was loading.
Oh my god. So, here's the little cover. I just went in the album order, because why not? The first song, Meet Me in the Hallway, I recommend Song of Achilles. So the book is a modern retelling of the Trojan War and stuff, with like Achilles and...
How'd you say it?
Patroclus?
No, it's
Patroclus?
Patroclus.
Patroclus. So, but it focuses on the relationship between Achilles and Patroclus? Patroclus.
I mean, it's a dead language. You can say it however the fuck you want.
All you need to know is it's gay. I'm already in. But a lot of people love this book. They start crying and stuff, and like, but like there's such like touching moments near the end with their relationship because the different lines of like where in the song he's like longing for someone, hoping it will like work out. He's like, it get better than this because like it's our relationship and everything. One of the lines where it's like, just take the pain away, like that. I think in all relationships there's that sort of thing of like you're so vulnerable that like even though it's so good, in an instant can be like so bad in the opposite. So like it's really just connecting with that sort of like when something happens that's bad, there's such like pain there, but it comes from a place of love. That's like what I get from this song. If you want to cry, put one song on as you're reading, it'll get it going. In like my little Grinch heart, I didn't cry at the book, but like we were almost there. The next song is Sign of the Times. I couldn't decide on which book to do, so I chose two. And I did The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath and then Catcher In The Rye by J.D. Salinger. Because they're both different takes on growing up, actually trying to come into adulthood, like the first like sort of coming of age. It's like how I equate it like with wisdom teeth. It's sort of like, for me, it's sort of like one of the coming of age ceremonies, like you have to do it.
At least in America.
Yeah, because they don't really do it.
What the fuck?
But it's this whole thing of like, it sucks, it's a bit risky.
You should probably explain for any people that are not American watching this, because I sure as hell didn't know that you did this.
Yeah, it really just depends on your body, if you have them, if they need to be taken out. But in America, since we spend so much money on like Invisalign, braces, dental care, you go to the dentist like twice a year, like this whole thing, you don't want to like mess up all the work. Wisdom coming in, like causing infections, it can mess up your whole teeth. So as a preemptive measure, so yeah, I did it, I think the summer before senior year, so it's sort of like coming of age and everything.
That is you just capitalizing on the dentistry.
But I remember them being like, oh, your 12-year molars are coming in, like you're early, like this whole thing. But they're both different ways of like coping with like the real world. I mean, Catcher in the Rye is a bit older, a lot of the stuff. It's just one of those male protagonist books that you're just like, really? Another one? So the bell jar is a nice little like different one to choose. I think people more now can relate to it because the more recognition of like the role mental health plays in people, even if they're not like diagnosed and all this stuff, like it still plays a part in it, especially after this past like whole year. You know how important it is. Yeah, I loved it. I know one of our other roommates, Cara, loves it. So it's just like an easier classic if you want to get into it. Sign of the Times, there's like the line of like, just stop your crying at Sign of the Times. And I equate that to sort of like coming of age or just sort of facing the consequences of everything or just like what's come to pass instead of trying to like stop time and like not make it happen or like reverse it, you know? And there's the whole like, why are we always stuck running from the bullets? That like you look back and you want to go back there, but it was still like the same like horrible like grown up realistic world, but like you just had it with a different set of eyes and everything. I don't know, it's very nice. I think it fits really well. They're not really crying books, but they're still like complex emotion, which I feel like the song has more than like other people let on. So the next book is Carolina. I know, a little bit mood change, but we love it. Keeps you on your toes. I'm thinking Little Fires Everywhere. Well, the book is about sort of suburban life and like something happens, and it's a lot of like clashing of like traditional versus more modern opinions, and then like everything hits the fan. First you're like, oh my god, like it's just a boring suburban town, like I hate suburbia because I grew up there, you know? But then like just stuff happens and you're just drawn in and you can't put the book down. At least I got from it sort of wanting just to break free of like societal constraints and sort of just living your life and just going for it, which is like a Harry Styles mood. The whole line of like, oh, feeling so far from home, like Mia and her daughter, they moved to this whole suburban area and they don't really feel at home because they're always moving, but they're sort of like shamed for their choices of being like a single mother and whatnot, that like, you know, I feel like it really fit. And then the whole thing of like, she's got a book for every situation, she goes to parties without invitations, how could you ever turn her down? Like Mia just has, Mia and then the other mom, they both are sort of good comparisons for each other because like Mia's more artsy, sort of like laissez-faire, like going for it. She's paints on everything, is very much like educated but in like a different way, while the other mom is more of like traditional, like, oh, I went to college, I grew up here, born and bred, like you have to like care about how people view you, how you look all the time, which is like really constrained and I hate it. But with Carolina, it's sort of just, you get the sense of this girl sort of just like living her best life, just going for it.
Free.
Yeah, but there's still a whole constraints of like with her father and everything, so she can't really fully embrace it because of like her family and whatnot. And I get the sense of that she grew up in sort of like the American suburbs, so I feel like this really goes really well. And you get that sort of like little empowering because it is like a little bit like a little sexy, you know, a little like it's just the confidence boost that you need. Next song, Two Ghosts. We're going back to André Aciman, who wrote Call Me By Your Name, but this time it's Enigma variations.
There we go.
Because in this one, you follow this kid and you get to his past when it's sort of like his first like real crush, sort of like attempt at a relationship throughout his life, and there's no labels, there's no restrictions. He, like, men and women are desired equally, and it's just I think that's how everyone should be. Not trying to label or put people in boxes and stuff. It's a great tool, but like if you don't want to use them, you don't have to, you know? And it's just it's the very strong like first love, but it's like always a melancholy to it, and it's a more realistic like portrayal of love instead of like glamorizing it up and everything. It's just a very like intimate look into the narrator and his life and what he's thinking and like everything. It's a fabulous book, but if you want to cry, this could be the book. So I'm warning you. But
was that big for you to cry?
I didn't really cry, but I got close.
You got close,
but it still sticks with me.
I don't feel like you need to have physical tears for that sort of connection.
So the book with the quotes, tastes so sweet, looks so real, sounds like something that I used to feel, but I can't touch what I see. So it's like going back to whole memories, but it's also even you have a relationship with someone, but if stuff happens, you're so disconnected that it feels like there's so much space, even though they're in the same room as you.
Yeah, you can be literally lying right next to someone and feel
no connection.
Feel farther apart.
Yeah. So I also feel like that's more like of an intimate thing to express. But the whole thing about like we're just two ghosts standing in the place of you and me trying to remember how it feels to have a heartbeat, again, it goes back to the whole like memories and just like how relationships can change and morph throughout your life. And especially if you get, because I don't think like you have to really work at loving someone for the rest of your life, and your body just does whatever, and you can love different parts of people and not have a relationship with them or not cheat on your main partner, you know? Like you can have a friend but you love this part about them, or you love them but it's like a different type of love. So it's just having these different like sort of tethers out into the world, that it's another way of you being vulnerable. As much as like that can be good, again, is the whole thing of like it can be so much bad because you can get hurt or stuff can change and like whatnot. Like being vulnerable, it's a really like it's a true gift, but it's also a fast track to being hurt. Next one is Sweet Creature. And then I chose Modern Love, edited by Daniel Jones. It's a column from the New York Times. And this is just an anthology of a lot of people talking about their own loves, whether it's I love how they make coffee for me in the morning, or I love how they do this, or I love them, or I love just like the whole family unit, or like my friends. It's such like a accepting and just a blanket of love in life, instead of the very narrow definition of like it's just romance and with your one partner. There's many different iterations and forms of it that it can take.
That sounds so lovely.
Yeah, you can read it if you want.
Have you got it here?
No. Funny, when you live 5,000 miles apart, there's a lot of books that are not in the place you want them.
Bring it back. But
it's just it's a very untarnished and realistic view of love. And then the quotes from Sweet Creature that really connect to it, it's when I run out of road, you bring me home. Just the whole thing of like you're still connected to people. And then two hearts, one home, it's hard to, when we argue, we're both stubborn. Again, you get the unglamorized bits, but that's still what makes up your relationship. And then like Sweet Creature running through the garden, oh, where nothing bothered us, but we're still young. I always think about you and how we don't speak enough, because that's normally what happens in relationships. You sort of like, it loses the glamour, no honeymoon phase, or you just get into like this routine, and you just have to remember to like appreciate the small things, the whole casual magic type of thing. But then a lot of relationships, people stop putting an effort in and whatnot, whether it's friendships or like with yourself or with other people,
you
or
always
like
need to have time with that person just to reconnect.
Yeah. I feel like people always, you're not whole unless you have a partner, which I think is a bad message to get out there, because you don't have to have a partner to have a fulfilling life or be loved and to love and just like be a person, you know?
Yep.
And there's many different ways you can have a partner and be married or not married or have a family. So we're just trying to like, you know, break boundaries, you know, just be accepting. The next song is Only Angel.
Oh, that's a good song.
And I connected it with Imajica. Thing is, there's so much in this book. Themes of like acceptance and seeing things from a different view. There's a lot of commentary on the patriarchy and whatnot, and how we take care of each other in like the world and how we use things. And then one of the characters, Pyopa, is not really anywhere along the binaries. Pyopa is seeing how people want to see. So like, say, for example, if I saw him, he might look like Harry Styles, you know? Or for you, might look like Jordan, you know? Yeah.
Wouldn't be complaining.
But he also is seen as a girl, so maybe he'll look like a girl for me. We don't know. You know, but it's just, he's still himself, but then people can see him differently. So I loved that, because you don't really get a character like that. And then there's a lot of female empowerment and celebrating the truth of like one's life and stuff, but like your own truth. Because there's a lot of like conflicting messages in life and in the book, and this is sort of just like, whatever you think is the truth, go for it, and you won't be punished for that, you know, as hard as that might be. And then with the quotes and stuff, couldn't you take home to a mother in a skirt that short, but I think that's what I like about it. And I must admit, I thought I'd like to make you mine as I went about my business through the warning signs. I ended up meeting in the hallway every single time. There's nothing we can do about it. So it's sort of just like, go with the flow, like there's only so much you can control. Like in the giant book, they tried to like save magic in the 5 dominions and stuff. And you know, at a certain point you just gotta go for what you know. If people disapprove, like, you know, cut them out of your life. But I think it's also, if you get like different messages or different signs from people, you should respond to them instead of ignoring them, whether they're good or bad, you know? And then I saw this angel, I really saw an angel open up your eyes, shut your mouth and see. And that sort of goes back to Pyopa's gentle, their relationship and stuff. genteel. But yeah, I equate that whole thing of accept the reality. There's a whole that in the book. It's very cool. But yeah, so if you like that, go read it. Next song is Kiwi.
Oh,
it's a very confident, little sexy song, but in a good way. And then it's the Michel Foucault History of Sexuality book. It's a bit philosophy book, but it just goes over like how the modern way of thinking about sexuality and like sex and like how that fits in society like has developed from like Victorian era, and how it's been like sort of like tarnished and like very like corrupted and influenced by these very limiting ways of thinking. It's hard to hear the like truth of stuff because you think, oh, we're not that behind, we're not that conservative, but I think like you really have to try to challenge why you think of stuff a certain way and like go from there. You know, it's like just trying to reclaim your truth, whatever that is, outside like what society deemed to be or what it should be. So like she's driving me crazy, but I'm into it. I think I'm losing it. Just go sort of like when you try to define your truth, you seem crazy. The whole thing of like, it's like I paid for it, I'm gonna pay for this. It's sort of like if you don't accept and like live your life to your truth, you might have a very sad life, or you might just be angry the whole time. And it's because you're trying to fit into a box that you weren't meant to be in.
I think that's a very interesting take on the song.
Yeah.
Rather than just taking it
with
the
it's
actual
very
face value of the story of the song.
On the surface it's very much about like oozing like sex appeal and this whole thing of just sleeping around and whatnot, but I feel like there's more to it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I think she said I'm having your baby, but it's none of your business. At least I sort of see some of, she's making her own decision with her body, with her situation and stuff, and not waiting for someone else to define it for her. So on the surface, it can seem like, oh, he's just sleeping around, he's like being careless, but I feel like as long as you're doing your truth, but also willing to own up to your mistakes and stuff, it's fine. But it's also a very nice song when you're really like feeling yourself, like you feel an outfit or you want just a little boost. Lovely, always. Like you're having a party, put it on. So, next one is Ever Since New York, and I did Me Before You. I cried during this. I cried during the movie.
No way.
I mean, the sort of the message you can get from this book is not the best considering disability and what.
But I don't like that out of the few mainstream books
that
involve disability, that is the outcome that they come to choose.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's right.
Yeah. So I just want to put it out there because I can see. Because I was talking about this book to my friends, and their uncle has ALS, not ASL. That's sign language. It struck a chord with them more, and I didn't really get that on the first reading about the movie and stuff. But I do just want to put it out there.
Like, it's representation, but it's not accurate at all. And I think it's definitely written from someone who doesn't have the correct experiences or like perspective to write a book like that.
So what I got out of it is more of like, it's this intense like sort of love for person, and then person can like stick with you even after they're gone, because it's also how relationships can't fix people, but I don't really think that's a good way of viewing love and relationships and connections with people.
Also how one-sided it is and how one person is investing so much into the relationship.
A relationship can't change someone.
You can't fix someone. Because they want good representation. Game of Thrones all the way. Oh my god. Yeah
Like the whole line of like for this curse, oh, what's it waiting for? Must this hurt you just before you go? The whole thing tying to the end, and then almost over, had enough from you, and I've been praying like I never did before. Understand, I'm talking to the walls. I've been praying ever since New York, and that whole thing of just like whether relationships ending or just stuff is changing, that can be really scary. Whether it's going into something positive or negative or just like the unknown.
Yeah, it definitely has the feeling of like a closing of a chapter or an ending of a chapter. So.
And then tell me something you don't know nothing, just pretend you do, or tell me something I didn't already know. So it's sort of like hoping for the truth to be wrong. I really connected that because you can get a more positive message out of all of this, but it's still just sad and you can't change anything. And then next song is Woman. There's some articles online that says he sort of got the idea from like Charles Bukowski because he loves Bukowski, and there is a collection called Woman, but I also connected it with like Leonard Cohen's poetry because they're very much not trying to jazz stuff up. It's a very like frank and realistic view of like their lives. They're both white dudes, so they're gonna be white dudes, but it's also like there's a whole twist of like stuff doesn't really work out as you planned or as you expect them to be, but they're still like willing to write about it, which is nice. Very open about sex and whatnot. that's the thing.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think Bukowski, there's a poem of comfy to read.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're gonna read him, be warned.
Jinx.
Rooftop. But there's still truths you can find. I haven't read a lot of Bukowski, but I've read a lot of Leonard Cohen. Definitely recommend those because it just touches something in you. But the little from the song, it's tempted you know, apologies are never gonna fix this. I'm empty, I know, and promises are broken like a stitch is. And at least with Leonard Cohen, as he's aging, he's sort of coming to terms with his life and how when you die, you can't really bring anything with you and all this stuff. And it's just this very complex emotion that you don't really get a lot in poetry. It's a lot about the good bits, but not the thoughts in your head of when you're coming close to the end or when your body starts to not work or be different as it once was.
So what is that more of an acceptance of coming to the end of life, or is it more a melancholy tone?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think it's just acknowledging I'm older, I'm not who I once was, but I'm still the same person, you know? And it's I hope you can see the shape that I'm in while he's touching your skin. He's right where I should be, but you're making me bleed. So again, it's the whole relationships and how they don't really work out sometimes, or really feel there's more to woman than just I want you back or whatever, you know, or if oh, you've hurt me. So it's more complex emotion because a breakup's never just easy as it looks in the movies. There's so many more emotions there. I don't know. I mean, you can explain.
I mean, yeah.
Even
just still, you don't always have to hate that person, and quite often you don't. It's more wishing them well and that sort of pain of not being able to stay as present in their lives as you once were.
The next one is From the Dining Room Table. Again, I chose more Bukowski for this because he makes it seem very much really set in the real world, not just this own little fictionalized world of stuff. But he's also again very blunt with experiences and feelings of life. But he's very honest about stuff. You know, Harry Styles does like him, so there's a lot of stuff drawing from him. Sort of woke up alone in this hotel room, played myself. Where were you? Fell back asleep. I got drunk by noon. I've never felt less cool. So that's sort of just that frankness of what's going on.
It's not sugarcoating the truth at all. It's very blunt
But there's still emotions there. It's maybe one day you'll call me and tell me that you're sorry too, but you never do. Again, it's that emotion and realizing the truth, but still hoping for the other bits. It's not just one emotion there.
Yeah, you can be aware of the situation and the truth of how things are, but you can still wish for different.
And you can move on, but woke up. The girl who looked just like you, I almost said your name. So it's still they're always a part of you. Yeah. People are weird creatures. So that's it. In the presentation, there's just this lovely little Harry Styles break.
Oh, there's the kill. I was there for that.
Yeah. Just a little bunch of photos, you know. But yeah, so hopefully you get an idea of sort of what the songs are about a little bit and some cool book recommendations and whatnot. If you disagree, you can tell me which books go better with certain songs or, whatnot.
If you've got any different takes on the analysis.
So I hope you can share my obsession with Harry Styles. His music's very nice, but I feel there is a bit there anyone can sort of like. But yeah, I love the clothes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If you would...
Such a mood.
Sorry. So if you enjoyed this, I can do his other album, Fine Line. Yeah, I don't know. Any last words for the people?
Any last words? Oh my god, watch Dunkirk. Yeah, we were on the edge of our seats, proper,
so stressed.
Oh my god, my poor heart.
But there also is Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah.
That just wrapped up filming a month ago. Then I think next month, he's gonna start My Policeman filming. It's a little queer.
Cannot wait for that.
I know. So keep an eye out for those.
Yeah.
That could be fun.
I hope you enjoyed.
Yeah. Don't take some of the book recommendations too hard. I haven't read that many books, believe it or not.
Oh, shut up.
So
literally, you could turn the camera around right now and show that entire wall, and everyone would be like, "Yep."
So,
but you've got all the general themes and whatnot.
Yeah, if you have better recommendations for any of the songs, let me know. Maybe we can do an update.
Yeah.
Next year or something.
Yeah. Good job.
I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Hopefully for Fine Line. And then if you have any other artists you want me to do, hit me up, in the comments, and we can just do this all again. Sounds
like fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
I guess don't forget to subscribe and like. And
oh my god, all that jazz.
the whole laundry list. If y'all don't wear your masks and stuff, I'm not gonna be able to see him. So if anything, wear it so we can get back to concerts and I can finally at least be in the same general vicinity of Harry Styles.
To be honest, you might have a heart attack if you're that close.
This is a sidetrack.
This is brilliant, honestly.
Okay.
We should do outros for teeth and jewellery.
If you mention teeth, I'm deleting your comment. Okay.
Oh my god.